Welcome to Leading the Conversation. I am so excited about the opportunities I get each month to have a conversation with a leader in our community and to hear about how we as Christians can be the kinds of neighbors that Jesus has called us to be. And this month, I have with me Jim Nelson, who is the executive director of our Lake Agassiz Habitat for Humanity. Thank you for joining me today, Jim.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, I have a big question at the very beginning that hopefully we can unpack. I think everybody who's listening and watching this has heard what Habitat for Humanity is. I think we all know it's about building homes. We know the history with Jimmy Carter, at least a little bit. But I'd love for you to help us understand what Habitat for Humanity does in our region, the Lake Agassiz Habitat for Humanity, and how, I mean, you can take it in any direction you want. Where does the funding come from? What kind of partnerships do you have set up? What makes Habitat work?
Thanks, Pastor Mary. It's a fun and very interwoven relationship with the community that we have. And we serve Cass and Clay County. We've been in existence since 1991, and in that time we've built 65 homes. We're building 4 more this summer, which will take us to 69. And you were out on one of them just a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Affordable housing is a difficult topic to fund. Let's just start with that. Across our community. And it takes funds and volunteers to make Habitat homes materialize. Mm-hmm. And so from that point of view, we have relied on our community partners in order to put the funds together for our home. So when you talk about partnerships and who all gets involved, there are 250 volunteers that come together to build every single Habitat home. So this year we'll have over 1,000 volunteers on our build site putting together the 4 different homes. And we have no issues attracting volunteers in our community. We live in a great community with a great volunteer spirit and a very generous community that way. So we don't have an issue attracting people to help us build the homes. The issue that we have is putting funds together to actually build the homes or to buy the products. That's what we really fall short of. So a little bit of background, every year we have about 50 to 75 families that apply for a Habitat home. From that, we usually qualify somewhere around 15. Sometimes it's 13, sometimes it's 17. These are families that have met our financial requirements. They've worked with us for from 6 to 8 months to determine whether or not they're qualified. And at the end of that period, we select the families that we're going to work with to move forward. And when we have 13, 15, 17 families that have qualified and we can only select this year 4, that's less than 25% usually of the families that have qualified. In other words, they're an appropriate family to build for. We're unable to. So we have to thank them for the last 6 to 8 months of relationship building that we have with them. And then we hopefully we've imparted in them some knowledge that will help them perhaps in the next 2 or 3 years be able to find a market rate mortgage. But with us, then we're only able to serve those that we have the funds for. So there really is a need for a partnership here. And we have found that over the years that when we rely on our corporate partners, our church partners, so thank you very much for your church's organization and participation with us, individuals that partner with us, and also our communities. So in the situation we have with the city of Moorhead, with the Moorhead build we're doing, the faith build here, the city of Moorhead is involved, and they become involved either through lot donation often or through funds to help us mitigate taxes or special assessments. We're also partnering this year with a group called the Cass Clay Community Land Trust, which is a new organization in our community. They also have a shared mission, such as ours, which is to serve families in need of a home. And they're able to provide land at no cost to the family. And so we're able to work with them as a partner And that just helps create yet another level of income, if you will, or funds to help us offset the costs of development so that we can make a home affordable. One thing I want to add to that comment is that our families walk away with a mortgage. So a lot of folks think, oh, a Habitat mortgage, or excuse me, a Habitat home comes with no mortgage. It's just a key in a home, and that's not true. It comes, excuse me, it comes with a mortgage as well. So our families have an affordable mortgage. It's based on their income, on their ability to pay. They have to have a certain income level, and once they meet that, they become qualified in that area. And then we're able to work with them, and they walk away with an affordable mortgage, usually a 30-year mortgage, that they pay back to Habitat. So we act as the originator of the mortgage and the funder, and at the end of the build, when they start to pay their mortgage back, that comes directly back to Habitat. So at the end of the year, when we receive our mortgage proceeds that come from the families that we've built, we have almost enough money coming in to pay for yet one more home just due to the mortgage proceeds. So it really is a pay it forward idea.
And I think that's the model that's been put together. I think that's something that a lot of the general public doesn't understand, the ins and outs and all the partnership that needs to happen. Because I think we see the volunteers, because that's a visible, people really enjoy going out and helping. And we know that there are families out there helping to build their own homes. But then I think where we don't see all of this substructure that's helping this is the partnerships with the city or with corporations, with churches, and all these funding sources. And so you mentioned for the Moorhead builds, we had the city of Moorhead helped
Yes.
in providing a lot, or they help with the special assessments. And then was Jordahl Homes also helping in this one?
Yes, in this particular case, this is an example of a private relationship that we have with a realtor. So in a developer, in this case, Jordahl Homes provided us with a lot. So while we have the lot coming from them, we have an expense with special assessments that is almost the same cost of the land. And the land trust was able to help us offset that along with the city of Moorhead. Okay. So there are partners that come together to make affordable housing work, that if we were trying to do this on our own rather than building 4 houses this year, we'd probably just be building 2 because of the additional costs of specials. And this year we're seeing products that lumber in particular, amongst other things, they're skyrocketing. So the costs are going up. What we were paying for a 4x8 sheet of OSB, like a plywood sheathing last year, was $15, and it's $50 now.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's a huge increase.
It's difficult for us to be able to offset that, but having partnerships allows us to do that. And as we think about this 2021 build season, and we have 2 homes started, and we're just getting the 3rd one ready to start. The 4th one will start in a couple of months. My team is already, the team that's back in the office is already planning for the 2022 builds, and we're talking to our partners, talking to our landowners, talking to creating the relationships that we need to be able to build next year and serve families next year. So we have to be at least a year out in advance, and so often it's a couple of years, particularly when it comes to land or any other kinds of donations that maybe not just a strictly cash donation.
All right. Is there anything else that like the general public maybe just doesn't understand about the workings of Habitat for Humanity?
Well, Habitat is a Christian-based organization, and we take that to heart. That means that what goes into a home is the love and compassion that Christ would show or did show to others. And so that's part of our mission. A big part of that is who we serve. We serve families in need. And it matters none what their beliefs are, as long as they qualify and they have a need. Then we encourage our volunteers and our donors to gather with us to serve families. So we serve families of all colors, of all religions. Just because we are a Christian organization, we are not limited to just serving Christians. we serve any family that's in need.
Well, I think that falls in line with Christ's mission too.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think it's so beautiful that it is something that we're able to bring together the Christian communities of churches that support this, corporations that are supporting this, the city where the home is being built. I mean, there's all sorts of partnerships, and I think what a beautiful way to bear witness is that we're using everybody's gifts and abilities and finding ways to make a home happen. And I think that's got to be a powerful witness for the family who has gone through that process of seeing how many people and organizations are coming together, working with them, not doing it for them, but working with them to really make this home possible.
We have a young man in our community who is, I say young man, he's probably 13 now, if I'm correct on this. In the last 2 years, he has come to us after his birthday. He's asked his friends to come to the birthday party with no gift, but a donation. And he receives the funds and he brings them to Habitat. And he asks us, would you please put these dollars to work to house a family? So this young man's been doing this since he's 11, at least that I'm aware of. And so in terms of an example of the kind of generosity in our community, and it takes all types of people. We have this young man who comes in every year and he presents us with a check, or I think we actually got a piggy bank the first year. And he said, this is a donation for Habitat, and I'd like to help a family in need. And it's just heartwarming to see that kind of generosity coming out of just a young man. So it does take that partnership, but it takes all walks of life, all people that are willing to help.
Yeah, and hopefully then that generosity is contagious.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm interested in you. How did you find your way to Habitat for Humanity?
Well, thank you. I went through about a 2 to 3 year soul searching period before I took the job I'm in, and it's just going on 4 years. So I'm an architect by training, and I've spent most of my career with large corporations doing real estate, corporate real estate, putting up large buildings for, I worked for a large software company in town. I'll let you try to guess who that might be. Housing our employees across the globe. And it was helping the team that I worked with do that work. So we put up buildings for our employees to work in. And I enjoyed that work, and left there, went to another large corporation, did similar kind of work for them. But I got to a point where I decided that I wanted my vocation, my work, to be more value oriented and tied more closely with some of the values that I hold. So I spent a good 2 to 3 years making the discovery, if you will, of what it was that I wanted to go and do, because at the time I couldn't have told you what I wanted to do. But I talked with a lot of people that I respect, leaders in our community, and had conversations and discussions with them. And the short of it was I created a list of 5 points that I wanted to make sure were fulfilled. And as soon as I had that list in my hand and I knew what I wanted to do, I started to look. And the Habitat job opened up almost at that point in time. I applied, and the rest is history, as they say. So I've been there just short of 4 years. And the reason why I'm at Habitat, and the reason why, quite honestly, my staff is involved and volunteers are involved, is the mission. We find that people are mission focused, that want to be there. Our volunteers are mission focused. They care about what we care about, and they care about serving families in need.
And what are some of the values that you had? Because you said you did that kind of soul searching process. What are the kind of values that you had then that you found matched really well with Habitat?
Well, I wanted to serve families, families and youth, and of course we do that. I wanted to work in construction as an architect, and of course we do that. One of the other areas that is, I'm a veteran, so that's an area that's important to me. We also serve veterans, and I would ask more veterans to apply. If I could make a plea to people that I know that are in need, I know that in our veteran community, there are men and women, families that often are, we in this country that we live in this part of our country, we're a proud people and we don't want to ask for help. And when you are a veteran, that tends to elevate that to a yet another level, that veterans don't want to ask for help. They won't even ask each other for help. But if you know of a veteran, let them know about us. We would love to serve a veteran in our community. And we have had a veteran build, so a veteran themed build before, where we've had organizations, veterans organizations, come forward and engage, just as you have been engaged in the faith build, where we've had veterans organizations. We'd love to do that again.
So how did COVID impact Habitat here in this region?
Well, COVID was impactful to us. So COVID came at a time where we were gearing up for last year's builds, and overnight it seemed, right, we went from being on this trajectory to a really active year to having no volunteers on site at all last year. So if you wanted to sign up the way you might this year, that wasn't even an option. So we had to come up with a way to build homes without volunteers, and that's who we are as Habitat. That's our network. We bring people into our community, our Habitat community. They learn about who we are, and those volunteers turn into donors over time, and they come back, they have a good time, they repeat that process, and that's how our funding grows. It's a part of our organic process. Well, when COVID came and we couldn't have volunteers, it really shut everything down. And a little plug here for our Habitat Restore. We have a retail thrift, construction thrift store that's called the Restore in North Moorhead, and it was shut down for 2 months as well. And that is a big economic input to our organization. It covers the cost of the Restore, and then additional funding that comes off of that goes to offset our operational expenses. And when it was closed, there was no funding coming in through the Restore. So that was difficult as well. We found a way over 60 days. We kept all of our staff on, our Restore staff and our Habitat staff. We worked from home as much as we could, but most of our Restore staff work in the Restore. So I told them, your job, and you're going to get paid for it, is to go home and stay healthy. That's what you're getting paid for. Go home, stay healthy. And we had weekly check-in meetings with our staff to make sure everybody was doing okay. And I'm happy to report that our staff has remained healthy through the whole process. So during that 60-day shutdown, we really did reevaluate what we were doing, our funding, and we were able to obtain some of the federal funding through the SBA, the PPP program, and that was helpful to us as well to sustain us through that period. As we opened up again from March to May, we were shut down, and when we opened in the middle of May, we continued then to do construction of 2 homes, and happy to say that those homes were built not necessarily on schedule. There were delays because we now had to hire contractors to come in, where we normally would have had volunteers, and that, of course, increased our costs. Yeah. So we needed to look for additional funding for that, but we were able to overcome that, and we moved 2 families into homes last year. We're just excited about that. So we had our setbacks. We, as you and your church here, are a community. You can be a community without coming together, but it's difficult. It stretches you, right? And you have to have faith. And of course, we did, and we were able to hold a community as remote as we were, and do things that way. We had all of our home dedications and our wall raisings that way, but it's not the same, is it? Right?
Yeah,
it's just not the same. So we missed that, and you were at our wall raising just a couple weeks ago. Was it a month ago already?
Yeah, 3 or 4 weeks ago now already.
But what a moving opportunity to get people together and feel that spirit amongst us, and that's what was really missing last year.
Well, that's really powerful, because it really, in the moment of actually the building starting to happen, you're reminded of what the mission is. You're reminded of our Christian call and vocation to serve
Hmm.
one another. Um, and it was an opportunity to pray with other people and work with other people and lift up the mission together along with the future homeowners. And that was so powerful. And I think any home that's being built should probably have some sort of ceremony like that helps ground you in the meaning of family and community and what
Hmm.
your mission is.
Yeah.
I thought that was beautiful. What are your hopes for the coming years of Habitat? What are your goals?
Uh, Appreciate that question. We want to grow. We know that in our community we should be serving more families than we are. And as I mentioned earlier, we know the need is here. We know that we could be serving 13 to 15 families easily every year. And that's the hard part, knowing that, and yet only being able to serve 3 or 4 families. So my goal would be able to get us to a level where we're actually serving more families. And
Hmm.
this year we're building 4. It's my 4th year, so we built 3. Last year was 2, and this year will be 4.
Hmm.
I would hope that in the next couple of years we can see that line move towards 5 and 6. And I don't know, based on our population, what we should be building, but it's probably somewhere between, say, 6 and 10, maybe 12 even homes. If I think about communities that are similar sized to ours, they're building somewhere between 6 and 10. And I think that in our community, we should be able to do that.
Well, and you think about just the exponential benefit that comes from each family being in a stable home that
Hmm.
they are paying a mortgage on that's affordable,
Yeah,
of and how that not only helps that family, but yet how that family's stability helps the whole community.
right.
And so if we're adding 1 or 2 or 3 more on in the
Hmm.
next few years in addition to what you have been doing, that's such a beautiful thing for it makes our whole community stronger.
Yeah, we know that our families that come to us are spending usually 50% of their income on housing.
Mhm.
And if you think about that, if you go to a lender to get a mortgage, they won't lend to you at that rate, right? 30 is kind of a cap, maybe a little bit
Mhm.
higher. For us, we limit that at 27%.
Okay.
And what that does is it allows our families who are also already limited with income, it allows them now more funds to take care of food,
Mhm.
health care, and transportation. And these are the 3 things, in addition to a home, as a 4th thing, that really create quality of life, right? If we have a decent, safe, affordable home, if we have our health, uh, if we're healthy, if we have food and we're able to receive sustenance on a daily basis, and we have the ability to get from point A to point B, so whether it's from home to work or taking kids to school or to church, if we have the transportation, those are really the key factors that we have in our community, the needs that we have to have met. And we believe that through affordable housing, that we allow these other things now to be able to be realized.
Yeah. So it really just having the home be affordable impacts every other area of life
Hmm.
for these families. So, what is your favorite part of your job?
Yes. Oh, there are many, many favorites, but I am blessed when I can see the look on the face of a family.
Mhm.
And our partner families, as you can attest, they get right in there on a day-to-day basis, and they have a hammer and a saw in their hands, and they're working right along with volunteers to build their own home. Uh, Watching them, all the steps along the way, from when they are told that they've qualified for a home, when you see them on the first day of the build site, anytime throughout that period, the last day of the build, when you see the home being dedicated, they actually get the key in their hand. The first day they have to pay a mortgage. While that might be a little bittersweet, like I have to pay how much, they realize that this is their own home. And so it's anything that has to do with the family, watching a family's expression as they transform through this process. And we refer to Habitat as a transformational process,
Mhm.
where we are not dealing with the same family from before and after, that they actually have gone through a transformational shift. Their mindset has changed. we have a curriculum of, it's a minimum of 14 classes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was
And yeah,
interested in learning about that because I learned about that at the day of the
yes.
wall raising, and I thought,
What
wouldn't
is
that be
that?
helpful for everybody who's buying a home?
So this is one of the things that we are trying to do. You ask what's next for us. We would like to open up, if not all of those classes, several of them, so that we can serve others in the community that aren't just Habitat families. We believe that it is an award-winning program. The Habitat Minnesota awarded our affiliate with an award for this program. And so we educate our families on things as simple as small engine maintenance. So how to take care of your mower and your snow blower, how to have pets in a house successfully.
Yeah.
Nutrition, basic nutrition, how to cook for your home, for your family in your home. You now have a bigger kitchen and a way to do that. Gutter maintenance, things of this nature. And our families come to us and they've never owned
Well, if
a
you've
home.
only rented,
Yes.
how would you know a lot of these
Yeah.
things?
And so I often get phone calls from our families now, and they may have been in their home a year or two, and this has happened. What do I do? And so we'll help them if we can, to the degree that we can, but we'll also put them in touch with providers, people that do that for a living, so that they can learn to become independent that way.
Yeah, when I heard about the courses they took, I was like, that would be so helpful. I just think of anybody, a young person transitioning from apartment living to a home, how great that would be to have that.
And one of those key courses is the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University, and that's a must requirement. All of our families go through that. There are people on my staff as well as myself who facilitate that class. And
Wonderful.
it's if you've not been through that, that's an excellent program. And I agree that I think we'd all be better if we took some of these courses. I didn't know how to do that. Now I do. So even things like unplugging a stuck toilet, right? These are things that we teach our families. They need to know these things, as opposed to calling a number and having somebody come and fix it for you.
Yeah, that is fantastic. And I've actually referred to the Dave Ramsey course as marriage counseling.
Yes.
Because really, I mean, it's such an important course to go through, and it helps couples trying to figure out their finances talk about it better and understand it. So it really helps in a lot of angles. So this is, I mean, the families who are living in these homes are so well equipped, which is just a wonderful gift to give these families, so that they also are contributing members of the community and can take pride.
And that's the transformational piece that we strive to accomplish.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we've forgotten to talk about related to Habitat, or would you like to do a shameless plug for what kinds of funds and resources and partnerships are you hoping to still develop?
Well, I'm always open for a shameless plug. So yes, we are building 4 homes this year, and we are not quite there yet with our funding. So I would welcome anyone, if you are so moved or touched, think about Habitat. Go to lakeagassihabitat.org, and you'll be able to donate on that website. You can call me, you can email our organization, come into our business. If you're interested, we would love to have you volunteer. There's always room for another person to volunteer. There's always an opportunity to give. Perhaps people have an automobile that they don't need anymore. Maybe it's an older one and it's just been parked for a couple of years. We'd love to take that off your hands through a donation, and we can turn that into cash for a home. So there are a lot of different creative ways. You may have a retirement account, and there's some funds coming off of that you'd like to donate. We can help you with that. So yes, we have 4 builds this year. They're not all paid for. We'd like to do at least 4 next year. That's what we've budgeted for, is to do a minimum of 4 builds next year. And we don't have those paid for at all at this point. So of course, any opportunities that you'd like to avail yourselves of, we yes, happy to be a part of that. Other than that, I want to go back and state that this is quiz time.
Yeah.
Is there a mortgage with a Habitat house?
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Yes. And that goes back to Habitat to help fund
Yes.
future builds.
We originate all of our own mortgages, which means we have we fund them, and then we write the mortgages ourselves, and the funds come right back to us. As a matter of fact, that was something I learned when I took the job. I had no idea that I would be originating mortgages and be the developer that way. So it was a new learning for me, but quickly figured that out, and that's part of what we do, and it is a huge pay it forward program.
I have learned a lot, and I feel like it's important for our community to understand the needs that are around us. And one of the take homes that I have is that from the 50 to 75 families that apply each year, there are 13 to 15 that qualify. But so far it's been, 3 or 4
Yeah.
of those families that get a home. So what I've learned is there is a need. There is more need in our community, and I believe there's more capacity in our community to be engaged, to donate, to help, to volunteer. And then another segment of the population that we really want to lift up is the veterans. And it's hard to ask for help, and yet what a beautiful way to surround people who have served our country. I think that would be a really powerful witness, and powerful for those families to also be a part of Habitat as well. And I've learned that there's just so many ways that people can get involved. And so we can give donations privately, or as we do through Good Shepherd, we're already contributing. But that's always a mission project that can continue to grow. And I think there's so many people in our community who would have the heart for Habitat if they learned that there was a need. So thank you very much for joining us, Jim.
Hey, you're welcome, Pastor Mary.
See you next time on Leading the Conversation.